Hi, I'm Peter Rose, founder of Longwood Currency Trading. What could you expect to make from your Forex trading if you're just sort of starting out? Now, I'm not talking about being a beginner because I don't really teach beginners, but if you're in a real account and you've been struggling with your trading, what would be a good amount of money for you to start out to strike for as an amount of money that you'd like to be able to make for the year? Let's talk about that. And I'm out here because I wanted to go out and check out Sue's flower gardens. It hasn't rained in a couple of days and it's been very hot out, so I wanted to go out and check to see how the flowers were going, to see if I have to water the flower gardens today. And that's what we're going to do. Let's look at the general income that somebody may have. And I've got to talk in terms of US dollars and income and how much you make and all that stuff. If you're not from the US, you simply have to translate those proportionally into the currency that you have and that you're going to have to trade in. The minimum wage in the US today is $15 an hour. So that means supposedly if you're sitting up at the counter at Dunkin' Donuts shoving coffee out the window, you should be making 15. They're making $13 an hour, but in a very relative short period of time, that $15 an hour will be pretty standard across the board because of the inflationary pressures that we've had on our economy over the last few years. This is the beginning of August, actually, of 2024. So at $15 an hour, if you can work around 2,000 hours, that's $30,000 a year that you're making. So let's say if you could make a 20% raise on that $30,000 a year, wouldn't that be great? That's $6,000. Is Dunkin' Donuts going to give you an additional $6,000 a year just because you smile and you're there and you don't set the place on fire? Nah, I don't think so. It's a little more complicated than that, right? I mean, you've been out there, or you're working in a lumber yard, or you're driving a snow plow truck, or whatever like that. Just at the lower level. So we're just talking about that lower level. If you're making $60,000 or $80,000 a year, God love you, that's great. But let's not shoot for that right now, because you're going to need a larger bank. And when you start putting a lot of money in there, you do stupid shit with your head if you're not experienced with the trading process. So let's just take that basic $15 an hour income, the $30,000 a year job. Let's make 20% of that, $6,000. If you could make $6,000, Jesus, if you could make $3,000, that's a 10% raise for the year. Nobody gives 10% raises. If you're a beginning software engineer and you get a couple of years under your belt and you pop off to another company, you're going to get a 10 or 15% raise. That's great. But if you're working most jobs, that's just not going to be the case, right? So we're looking at a target of $6,000. That would be a substantial enhancement to a $15 an hour job. So you're sitting out there and you're watching all these videos and you're watching these guys trading at 500 to 1 and taking a $500 account to $4,000 in 90 days, and you're going, Peter, it's just not worth my time listening to you, because all you're doing is I'm going to make $6,000 extra a year. Well, listen, if you're that really stupid, then you probably have already quit my videos and you're not watching my channel, because there's a lot of stupid people out there that think they're going to snap their fingers and they're going to take that $500 account and move it to $40,000, or they're going to have a $40,000 account and they're going to make $1 million in 6 years. Are there people that can do that? Yeah, sure, there are people that can do that. But what are you going to be able to do with your shitty education and your bad attitude? That's what most of the folks out there that I sometimes come in contact with and talk with, and I don't talk with them very long because I don't have much patience for people that are not realistic about life in general. You think you're going to make $60,000 a year trading currencies when you're making $40,000 a year and busting your ass driving that backhoe truck for a living? You're just delusional. Making money is hard because your livelihood depends on that. What you're talking about in trading currencies is maybe replacing your job income, but not in the beginning, because you have to, you're not going to win a gold medal just because you swim a few miles a day for 3 years. You know, there's a lot of training and there's a lot of exercise and stuff that goes into it. I've been in martial arts for 55 years. I didn't get to be a ninth degree black belt in 6 weeks. I could have read a book and had a phony certificate, and that would have been fine. There's certainly enough phony karate people out there that will tell you that they're black belts and they're experienced and they can jump over backwards and kill people with their big toe. Same is true in trading. But let's be realistic. Let's set a realistic goal that you should be able to achieve with a reasonably sized bank. $6,000. Let's try for it. How do you do that? How do you then go about achieving that goal? Well, break the $6,000 down into 10 months. 10 times what number is 6,000? It's 600, right? So that means you have to make $600 a month. Well, what does that mean? Well, it's $150 a week. You make $150 a week. Trading 5 days a week, it's 30 bucks a day. Oh, I can probably do that with a trading one full lot. I can make 30 pips a day. No, you can't. Well, how about 2 full lots? Then you need to make, you just work your way back. What size bank do you need in order to generate a reasonable pip count for the day? What's a reasonable pip count? Well, I don't know. Well, I do know, and I share that with my students, and we work through the thing. But if you're listening to these people out there and you're thinking about making 40 pips a day, you're delusional. I mean, just really. And if you're looking at these guys that are doing long-term position trading, good. You try that with your 1 full lot position or your 3 mini lots, and you see what those reversals go over a period of several days, and tell me that you could withstand a 30 pip pullback. So you wait 30 pips and you, oh, I can't take it anymore, and then you get out, and now you're a 30 pip loser instead of the 40 or 50 pips that you thought you were going to make. When the loss ratio becomes upside down, how do you recover from that? You blame the market. Forex is a scam. The guy that taught me is a scammer. He's not a scammer. He just doesn't know how to teach you. He can do it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he can teach you to do it. So you're going to have to sit down on your own and figure out in your own mind, could you make $15 a day? Could you do that? $10 a day? Could you do that? How would you do that? Could you make $600 a month, $150 a week, $30 a day? So it's a balance between the size of the account and the number of pips that you're trying to manage. That's how you determine whether you're capable of achieving the goal. Even if you don't know how to trade, whether it's reasonable for you to achieve that goal. And is that goal sufficient to substantially enhance the income that you have? As I said, if you take a $15 an hour job and people have to really bust their ass at 15 bucks an hour in order to make that 15 bucks an hour, it's easier to be a software engineer and make $150,000 a year than it is to work the counter at Dunkin' Donuts or wait tables or drive a backhoe. So you got to respect that $15 an hour minimum wage value and say, if I could make $3,000 a year, that would really enhance my job income. Just $3,000. $2,000 would greatly enhance that. You know, if you're on Social Security and you didn't prepare well enough or didn't have the opportunity to build up a substantial enough wealth balance in your life, or you faced medical issues that took you out of the workforce earlier, if you could just make $2,000 a year on top of your Social Security or Medicare or whatever it is that you're doing, man, 2,000 bucks a year, that's your whole year light bill. 200 bucks a month, 150 bucks a month. So don't scoff at setting these goals at only $2,000. What does that $2,000 represent to you as a consumer of life? For me to say, let's shoot for 6,000, what I'm really trying to encourage folks to do is look at the amount of money that you can make if you can invest the minimal amount of bank and get the education that you need in order not to lose that money. Because as a large retail Forex broker many years ago, came out with an analysis of 25,000 of their clients, over 43 million transactions. 90% of their clients lost 90% of their money in 90 days. And those statistics were as valid then as they are still today. And it's because of the education. There aren't that many stupid people. And you know, of all the people that lost, the 90% of the people that lost, 72% of their trades were profitable. How do you end up losing money when 72% of your trades are profitable? It's because you don't understand how to trade. You can learn all this shit that you want from books and stuff, and you can sit there and rattle off all your freaking rules and stuff. But if you've got all these rules and you're not making $6,000 a year on a reasonable sized account, then you don't know what you're doing. If I work with somebody over a 4-week period of time, they should have all the skills necessary in order to make a certain percentage against the job income that they have, given the fact that they can have a large enough bank for that. At least the skills to take a $1,000 account and make that return from that $1,000 until they can build up their trading account to the point where they've got enough money to make money. It takes money to make money. Don't let any asshole tell you that it doesn't take money to make money. That's just somebody's broke Uncle Bob that is going to whine and complain and all that other kind of crap. It takes money to make money. So if all you've got is $1,000, then learn what to do with it and be reasonable. You constantly on YouTube, you're seeing these guys taking $1,000 accounts to $4,000 to $5,000. They're using 200, 500 to 1 leverage. Number one, maybe they can get away with that because they have the experience to do that. But are you going to be able to do that? And number two, they're setting goals that are unreasonable for you, but very reasonable to them. And the expectation is you're going to pay them to teach them, but they may not be good educators. I mean, the other guys out there, obviously, you see them, they're driving their fancy cars and they're showing off all their wealth and all this kind of stuff. But where's the students' wealth? The students are paying them money and they're not driving those cars. And if they are, they're rented or they're borrowed. Now, that's just a fact. It's because the guys are out there to get you. They're out to scam you. I've tried to tell you the truth, and probably 70% of the people who watch my videos are dropped out before the 2-minute mark. That tells me something very important, that most people don't want to hear the truth. And they don't want a really valid plan in order to make reasonable money because they don't have a reasonable idea of what that money value is. They just see somebody wagging their $20,000 watch and they say, oh yeah, that's what I want. Well, how about just paying your electric bill first, like, okay, and then you can worry about the freaking watch later. But when you have goals that are out of alignment with your means and your ability, you do stupid things. You take risks that you shouldn't take. You trade with a high leverage. It's just crazy. All I can tell you is figure out what a reasonable amount of money to make based on the economy that you live in. And I look at a $15 an hour job and I say, okay, that's the basic thing that we'll start to work off of. And then I move up to the median income and we work toward that particular goal. And it could be that same percent, 20% return against it, whatever it is. At that point, win-to-loss ratios change, abilities change, and the goals can change too. How much could you make? Can you make 80% against your bank? Sure, why not? I do, when I'm following my rules. I'm not trading for the same reason that you guys are trading. I had a goal for myself to try to make $1 million in trading currencies, the same way I retired a millionaire from investing in real estate. And So I really pushed the envelope, and when I'd take a risk and it didn't work out, it would cost me tens and tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars. I lost 6 figures last year, 2023, because I just wouldn't let go of it. I just kept pushing, because the end goal of that was a tripling of a very large bank. So I held in there until the point where I realized, well, wait a minute, this isn't going to go anywhere. This isn't doing what I needed to do. I'm not afraid of taking risk, and I'm not afraid of losing money. But I got to the point where I said, okay, I got to cut loose of this, and then I was done with it. I stepped up to the table, traded the next day, and made $1,400. But that's a lot of money to make up in the long run. And so I've kind of tempered my expectations and saying, well, it's not important for me to make $1 million. I've already made $1 million. So let's get into trading for just the fun of it and enjoy myself and make the percentage returns that I know that I can make fairly easily, even though that isn't going to be, leading me to the $1 million mark unless I trade that way for many, 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 many years. I'm 75. I don't have many, 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 many years to do that. And that's one of the reasons that I really pushed the envelope with that account, because I wanted to see if I could do it in a reasonable time frame where I wasn't drooling out of the side of my mouth and making really stupid decisions. Well, okay, if I would have been able to go on, maybe I could do that. But I don't necessarily feel that I want to take that risk. Why put myself under that pressure when I can just have a good time and make somebody else's yearly salary by sitting at my desk and drinking coffee? Why shouldn't I do that? Why didn't I think of that before? This is a lot of fun, and I wish you all the best. But let's be reasonable about what you're doing with those goals, okay? All right. Peter Rose, Longwood Currency Trading. Have a great day, and have a great trading day.